Hi, Miss Chapel, and hi, Hardin 6th graders. We are sad that we're not seeing you at the Yellowstone Art Museum this year, but we are happy to join you virtually. My name is Mary, and I'm going to show you some pieces of art here in the museum. And then you're going to meet Miss Carrie, and she is going to be making art with you and with Miss Chapel.
And I'm Carrie, and after you take a look at some art with Mary, you're going to join me in the virtual studio to make some art.
Okay, let's take a look at this piece of art right here. So the artist who created this, his name is John Buck. And there's so much happening in this piece of art that we're going to zoom in on one spot and look at all the details that are there. So when I look at it, one thing I notice is that there are a lot of details. And I also notice that for a lot of artists, they start with a white piece of paper or something white and add lines with pen or pencil. But here, the artist has black, and the lines are white. And that's going to connect with what you're going to be doing when you make your own art. So when we look here, what do you see? I see a lion. I see a crown. I see that the artist added a lot of lines that makes this look like a sphere to me, like a three-dimensional circle, and other lines that are horizontal. And maybe they're supposed to look like brick. Depends on what you see. Something else I like is that this artist made something mostly black and white, and then added these pieces of color. What color is it? I mean, it's green, but it's lime green, yellow green, and those bits of color kind of change the way that I see this piece when I look at it. Let's take a look at this painting by Ernie Peppion. So come on in, think about what you see, what you notice, what details jump out, all the little things. What are the colors? So this painting is called Which Way to Turn. Ernie Peppion died in 2005. He was a member of the Blackfeet tribe. And what's interesting about this piece of art is that it's a self-portrait. He painted himself. And he paints what he looks like. But he also paints different symbols, different images that tell you more about who he is on the inside and what life is all around him day to day. Hi everybody, I am really excited. Sometimes at the Yellowstone Art Museum, we get special loans, and sometimes they are incredible. And this is called Pumpkin. So take a look, just like all the art, take a look. What do you notice? What are the details? What colors do you see? It's a beautiful time of day today to look at this piece of art. Something else you may want to think about is how much does this piece of art weigh? How heavy is it? Pumpkin is by Mcconnell. She's about 92 years old and is from Japan. And this sculpture weighs 2,000 pounds. It's made out of bronze, which is a type of metal. And something I like about this sculpture is the way that you can see that there are 2 layers here. And one, you see the color of the metal, this warm brownish color. And the other, you see in the circles. And the color is more black. Another great thing about this is it has patterns, it has shapes, it has circles. And I also just love how big it is, and I love just having it sit here on the floor at the Yellowstone Art Museum. Hi, so let's take a look at one more piece of art today. So come on in, look around. What do you see? And especially with this piece of art, like, what is it? How did the artist create it? What did he use? This artist's name is Gordon Mcconnell. He lives here in Billings. He's a very nice man. And he made this piece in 2020. And Gordon Mcconnell has spent most of his time making art about Westerns. So he loves the old Western movies. So when I look at this piece, I see how interested he is in the Western movies, how interested he is in horses. He has the name of a movie here, and the name is in Italian. Il mio nome è nessuno. And in English, that translates to my name is nobody. And that's the title. And also, because he's been an artist for many, many years, Gordon Mcconnell had big stacks of art magazines. And recently he decided to tear out the pages and make art right on the pages from his old magazines. So he brings it all together. He's an artist, he's interested in Westerns, and he's pushing himself, trying something different. He used to just paint kind of traditionally. So, when you are in the studio today, think about that idea of movies or stories that you like and different ways to tell your story. Yeah, go.
Hello everyone and welcome to our virtual education studio today. Now today we're going to use Gordon Mcconnell's piece, My Name's Nobody, as inspiration to create your own movie poster. And we're going to do this by creating our own scratchboard on an actual old movie poster. So I've got this old movie poster. This is from Birds of Prey. And you'll notice that it always has 2 sides, and one side is always lighter than the other. Something to think about as you're putting your scratchboard down. Now, when you pick out a piece of the poster, either from one that I've pre-cut or one that's from a whole poster, you want to make sure that there's not too much black on it, because you're going to be using black India ink as your scratchboard, and so when you scratch through, there won't be enough contrast if you pick something that's already black. So I've got this guy. I really like this little gopher thing in the middle. I actually have not seen this movie, but I really like this design. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to attach my movie poster to my board here because I want it to be a little bit more sturdy when we go and start creating our Scrachboard. So I'm going to use the bright side of this movie poster, and I'm going to kind of put this down here. And I've got a glue stick. You could use Elmer's glue, you could use glue stick, anything that you have that is sticky will work. So I'm going to start just by kind of covering my whole board with the glue stick or glue. Now I want to make sure I get the edges. Glue stick, you have to work a little bit faster because it dries really fast. Once I've got a fair amount of glue on there, then I can go and I can kind of decide where I want my board to fall. And I'm gonna go right about there. I'm just gonna press it down and let it really dry. Get out any of the creases. I'm gonna let it dry before I do anything else.
So once the glue dried on my poster and my board, I cut around the outside edge so it was just the size of the board. Now, the next part is where I'm going to actually make the Scrachboard. So I've got my clear oil pastel and also some India ink in a little dish. Now, what I'm going to do is actually start to cover my entire poster with the clear pastel, or at least the parts that I know I want to cover with India ink. You don't necessarily have to cover the whole thing. You could pick certain parts. Like I really like this little gopher thing in the middle, and I think I'm going to keep him. And I might also try to keep some of these eyes. Now, because it's clear, it is a little hard. But what you can do is you can actually feel it. You can also, if you pick up your board a little bit and turn it in the light, you'll be able to see the different sheen. So you'll be able to see where you've put the oil pastel and where you haven't. But I would just be really careful and methodical about how you put it down. So I'm going to go around my little gopher guy, and I'm going to continue to cover with the clear oil pastel. Now once I've got the whole thing covered, I'm going to brush away any of those little excess bits that you sometimes get with oil pastel, and also double check and make sure I've got everything that I want covered. So I'll just wipe those away, and then I'm going to start in on my India ink. So in your kit you have a foam brush that works really well for putting the India ink on the poster. Now you may notice as you start doing this that the Indian ink might not spread out and stay spread out. It might kind of almost come back together. So there's kind of two ways that you can work with it. You can wait about 5 minutes before it's completely dry and then spread it out again without adding any more India ink to your brush. Or once it's completely dry, you can always go back in and add in another layer. Now once it's completely dry, it will turn kind of a matte black. And this is when you get to do the best part. You get to create your own movie poster. And it can be based off of any movie, game, or book that you want, or even a very specific genre. So I'm going to start drawing in really lightly with a number 2 pencil. But be careful because you could scratch through on accident. Once I've kind of got my idea drawn out, I'm going to go in with my wooden scratching tool. And this tool also came in your kit, and start actually scratching through my lines. Now, when you do this, I would suggest that you go really slowly. Once you scratch out a line, you can't really put it back in. This is why it's kind of nice to have just a little bit of a pencil outline. I'm going to continue on with all my parts and pieces of my octopus until I like exactly how it looks. Don't forget to add in a lot of detail. The more scratchboard you take out, the more interesting your design becomes. And finally, once you're completely done with your character and design, don't forget to title your movie. I decided to call mine Tentacular. I hope you all had so much fun with this project. We can't wait to see what you create, and we hope to see you all back at the Yam soon.